Hey everyone, hope everybody's doing well. I have another video for you guys today, and today's video is actually talking about my uh, tournament, my local tournament report, pretty much. And I wanted to just talk to you guys about how the deck has been performing, the matchups, maybe some flaws that this deck has, and just overall the experience that I've had playing this deck. So as you could see, I have these cards laid out here for a reason, because I wanted to speak about the deck piece by piece. So I wanted to talk about the Dragonmaids, like how the Dragonmaids themselves did, and then how the Rocket engine did, how the Romulus engine did, Dragoon, and then here we have the other starters. Here's a big pile of extenders, which is why the deck is just super consistent. Is look at that. We have so many extender cards, and then these are the more reactive cards that we play. Um, going first, obviously, or second. And then here are the other necessary extra deck monsters that you need to play in this deck. And then these two are just flex spots, pretty much, where you can replace these two cards with any other two cards, and it won't affect anything else. So these two can be like anything. They could be Boral Sword, Borreload, Appaloosa. They can just literally be anything else in the game, and it wouldn't affect the deck, or your combos or anything like that. Um, so before I break down the deck and the contributions that each engine, um, how it helps the deck out pretty much, and what it contributes, and what it does to benefit the deck, and your combo, and how you and what it does for your end board, pretty much. So first, let's talk about my tournament report. No big events, obviously. I have not been playing this deck in any online tournaments. So I think that would probably be a bit more competitive. I feel like if I were to have played in a more in a larger online event, that would probably attract more competitive players. But I'm gonna speak to you from a locals point, uh, and it's not to say that even at locals I do go against like competitive players, whether they be my friends or just people I know from that specific locals. Um, there's a good amount of decent players, I would say, very good players, honestly, that really like know the mechanics of the game inside and out, and they have plenty of skill. So I did test this deck against some of the more meta decks in the format, recently being Dragon Link. So I've gone undefeated with this deck for 3 weeks. I want to say maybe 4 weeks. I just lost count, but I know the last three times for sure I went undefeated. Actually, the was it yesterday? It was today's one. Yes, it was yesterday, and I had a draw my first round against Dragon Link, and then I went undefeated for the next three rounds. So I ended up with 3 wins and a draw. So I got second place because the person who got first place, by the way, who was playing pure Dragon Maid, he did a very great job with the deck. He got first yesterday, and then I got second because of my draw, round one. But the two times before that, I actually got first place, and then the week before that I got second place, and then the week before that I got first place. So I want to say in the 5 times or 5 weeks that I've attended locals, I've either gotten first or second, and the majority of the time being first place. And I would go against decks like Dragon Link, Orcust, Numeron Guru, and very good players that know their stuff, that know how to maintain their resources, and know what interactions are important. So it was really good to test against those good players. Um, so yeah, so I went up. Yeah, what else did I go up against? I went up against uh, one of my friends who plays Thunder Dragons very well. I went up against him multiple times. My friends playing Orcust. I went up against. I cannot remember exactly. I went up against Dragon Link a lot recently, and so it's been again tested against the top decks. I played against also like Eldritch and Dogmatica as well. So it's been pretty good. It's been pretty good overall. So I would say that this deck is just amazing, and it's not the conventional way to play Dragon Link, I would say, because the norm for Dragon Link is playing Link Cross and Needle Fiber, and I don't play those two cards. I don't play Metal Marcher. I don't play Herald of Perfection. The only similarity really is that I play um, Boral Savage because the Dragon Link isn't even playing Dragoon right now. And then obviously LP Pisty, Hieratic Seal. That's the normal dragon stuff. Like any dragon deck, I feel like would play those cards. So let's go over the engines. Let's go over um, each engine and like what they do, how they did in the past like month and a half or so. So we'll start off with the Dragon Maids, and then we'll go to the rockets after that. So for the Dragon Maids, obviously you have your two fusions. I played two house, just for the sake of like space. I'm just gonna show you one house, but I played two house because for Xiao it can just like put itself back to the extra deck, and then you could summon this back, and then when you want to use Xiao again. Say if this gets linked off, or you actually use it as fusion material for the Xiao that you put back in your extra deck, you at least have another house in the extra deck to be able to resolve Xiao again. So that's why you play two house and only one Xiao, because this goes back to your extra deck. And then even if it doesn't go back to the extra deck, Chamber can actually bring it back. So Chamber can bring it back, Hospitality can bring it back. So like there's multiple ways to bring this back because it was properly fusion summoned. So for the Dragon Maids, the three Chamber and the three Parlor, and then I cut this to two, because I'll tell you in a second. And then we have the Nurse, and then the one lore part, which I'll put right here. So this is our Dragon Maid stuff. Obviously without the not including the spells, but for our monsters, this is what we played for Dragon Maid. So for our spells, we have the two Hospitality. I don't know if I'm not sure if I actually showed you guys three in the deck profile, but I did cut it to two, and then the one, obviously the one Changeover and the one Tidying. So because obviously we're playing like a combo Dragon Maid, or Dragon Link, or people just assume that it's Dragon Link. I mean, I don't. The thing is, if you call this Dragon Link, then you would assume that I'm playing like Link Cross and like, or Maiden, the Garden Rose Maiden or something like that. But it's. I feel like it's really its own thing. Obviously, if you're playing a Dragon deck, these are some of the best extenders and cards you can play. So, whatever you want to call it, it's okay. Dragon Maid, Dragon Link, combo Dragon Maid. So let's discuss how the Dragon Maids did. So these two are phenomenal. These two cards are amazing. Like hands down, Chamber and Parlor are so good for this deck. I mean, I love opening up one of these two cards, and sometimes even both, because if you draw a combination of these two cards, one of them is gonna summon the other one. Okay, so like with Parlor, you send Tidying, and then Tidying can special summon this from your hand, and then with Chamber, you can just search Hospitality, and Hospitality can summon this from your hand. So both of these cards summon each other. So even if you draw a combination of two, it's not like you're drawing two normal summons. Because again, like one of them is gonna fetch you the Changeover. So if you summon this, send Tidying, summon this, you're gonna search your Changeover, and then if you use Chamber, you search this, and then you summon this. This is gonna send Chamber to the graveyard, which can obviously put itself back into your hand. amazing starters. Just because like Parlor can help you extend with tidying. So even if you don't draw like another Dragon Maid, after you link off Parlor, you could banish this and then summon Parlor back. Again, same thing with Chamber. Even if you don't draw another, even if you don't draw another uh, Dragon Maid, you can still summon it back with Hospitality. So these two cards are just amazing, very good. Like, my God, I can't say enough good things about these two cards. So let's move on to the other Dragon Maids. Kitchen, I want to say, is probably the worst starter, because she relies on you having other extenders, other cards in your hand to be able to actually do something with the Dragon Maids that she sent to the grave. Because obviously, on summon you add a Dragon Maid monster and then you discard a Dragon Maid monster. But the thing is, if you don't open if you don't open Hospitality, if you don't open Ward Like Cigar Dragon, if you don't open Monster Reborn, then there's very few ways you can get that Dragon Maid out of the graveyard, unless you drew like a really wonky hand where you opened up tidying and then you could summon like another dragon, one of your extenders, go into Romulus, search Ravine, but that's super like that's not optimal. That's not what you want to do. So, but the thing is, you still play her because later on when you draw with Saryuja, she's actually a very good draw with Saryuja, because with Saryuja you could summon her and then you could fetch out the Dragon Maid that you're missing, and then with the Pisty that you have on the field, you can revive that Dragon Maid. So off Saryuja, she's a really good draw, and even sometimes she's a really good extender. Like if you open her and World Like Cigar Dragon, it's the same thing as opening up Parlor and World Like Cigar Dragon, because essentially they both get like Chamber to the graveyard. So she's good, but the thing is, I would rather be drawing like other starters, like these six, or like some of the other starters I'm gonna show you guys in a bit. So that's why I cut her to 2. I figured like I would cut her by 1 copy and add another Dragon Extender, and I think that would be more beneficial, and it's done very well. And then we'll talk about Nurse first. Nurse is a necessary card. She's actually not the worst card to open up with, because if you open up Nurse and then like Foolish Burial or Dragon Shrine, she can be a very good card, because the thing is, like if you open up this card and like other extenders, like say you open up Quick Launch, you could activate Quick Launch, do your like your Striker Dragon plays, maybe you have Nocto Vision to extend, and then you didn't commit into your normal summon. So if you were to like say search Ravine, you could like send any other Dragon Maid, and then say you send Chamber, and then you could normal summon Nurse, revive Chamber, get the search for either Tidying or Changeover, and then you have your 2 monsters for LP and Pisty right here. So she could make she pretty much makes a really good hand even better, because she becomes such a strong normal summon at that point. But again, if you draw her and like your hand's not that great, then she just makes your hand worse, if that makes sense. These Parlor and Chamber make even your bad hands playable, because they're extenders on their own, and they also fetch out like Changeover. Lorepar, the only reason we play Lorepar is because of House, because that play that you have, bouncing your Dragon Maid, whether it be Chamber or Lorepar or even Kitchen, being able to bounce it back, summon this, and getting a pop with House, it makes a huge difference, because when your opponent thinks that they have game and they think they can completely clear your board, they totally forget about a Dragon Maid being able to bounce back and getting that pop with House, which can be like insanely good. It can really turn around the duel. So that's why for that interaction we play the Lorepar. It's just too good not to play. Plus, it's a free Foolish. If you summon Dragon Maid Parlor Dragon Maid, excuse me, with Hospitality, then you get to send this for free. So it's pretty good. When you open this up, it's actually not that bad. Like, okay, so one example, this rarely happens. I mean, rarely happens. But yesterday, I went up against a pretty like badass plunder patrol player, right? And um his boards are like very scary because he can um he can pretty much use like Herald of the Arc Light twice on your turn. And then plus he can banish your special summon monsters and he can negate, and then plus the plunders float. But pretty much what I'm trying to get to is that they're linked to when you control no monsters on the field and in the grave. This becomes very useful because you can pitch it to target any of the plunders that fusion summon because you have a certain attribute monster on your field or graveyard. This pretty much baits out a negate or an interruption on its own. So even if you draw this, it's a worse impermanence, but it does do something, which is nice. So it's a brick, but it's not like a complete useless brick. And then so let's go over the spells. Hospitality I put to 2 because you're running so many other dragon monsters, right? So many. You're running like all these other engines, rockets. You have white dragon, black dragon, all these other cards that are not dragon maids. This is really nice because first you can search one on turn. When your first turn 0, you could search one with chamber if you open up chamber, which is nice because then you have an extender, and then turn 1, excuse me, when your opponent goes, then you could summon chamber back with Shao, and then you could add the second one so you have a follow up. So that's why you still play 2 because turn 0 you search one to extend to be able to play, and then the next turn during your opponent's turn you search for another one so you have a follow-up play, so you're able to link climb and maybe fusion summon again into Shao. So that's why you play 2. 3 I feel like I wouldn't say it's cloggy. I wouldn't even say it's cloggy. It's just not necessary because you can play other cards that can push more. Plus this is like a hard once per turn, so if you draw multiples it kind of sucks. And then changeover, you play 1 because you don't need more than 1. If it was a pure, maybe if it was pure, no, even in pure you play 1, but you play 1 because you can recycle it back. If like say DD Crow becomes like super relevant and they start to banish changeover, yes, it starts to become a problem because now you can't loop this card over and over again because Crow's gonna banish it. But because Crow isn't in the metagame and nobody's really playing Crow, some people might still be playing Crow, but I haven't gone against anybody playing Crows like recently. But if this, even if they played Crow, you'd still play 1 because you can easily access this card. This card being able to recycle itself, bouncing back your Dragon Mates, triggering House, it's super good, so broken. And if you open it, say you, what's really cool is that sometimes, say you go second, right? Just like as an interaction, if you, I'm skipping ahead a little bit, but Apsarouter is a level 7 dragon that floats, that searches for a rocket when it gets sent to the graveyard. It could get sent from hand, field, or deck. And what's cool is that, say going second, you want to start to break their board. If you search for, if you open up chamber or parlor, you can get access to changeover, and then you could just activate it and fuse using the Apsarouter and your Dragon Maid, and now you have Shao as a negate that can like stop your opponent from doing something, or you can simply just go into battle phase, attack over something, and then if they try to do anything later on, you can just negate it, which is really nice. And then the tiding, I wish I can play more. In a pure Dragon Maid build, you'd play 3, 2 to 3. I want to say average, you'd play 3 because this card's just so broken. This card, if you play pure, you just cycle through all 3 so quickly. And that interruption, that extra interruption is so insane. So if you draw broken in this deck and you're able to get access to changeover through Parlor, and you also have access to chamber, then you could just search this, and that becomes a free interruption that you didn't need, but it's an interruption on your opponent's turn, and then it's an extender on your turn. It's insane. When I say it's insane, I really do mean this card is just like bananas. So that is it for the Dragon Maids. I feel like the Dragon Maids are definitely the most important cards in this deck because like Parlor and Chamber are just insane starters. They're the best starters in this deck. This is not regular Dragon Link, so when you do something in regular Dragon Link, the only thing that does anything on summon is Star Liege, and actually it doesn't even do like what the Dragon Maids do, because the Dragon Maids net you a +1 without getting rid of like the bodies pretty much. Whereas Starly's safer. Most of the time, you're gonna have to get rid of it unless you open up like other fours in your hand. But most of the time, you're gonna have to get rid of this card. Whereas like Chamber will search you a card and still stay on the field, so you're able to link into Striker Dragon, which is an insane difference. Like these cards are just so good. It's the reason that I wanted to play this deck, because of the Dragon Maids. So that's it for the Dragon Maids. Let's go over the Rockets. So for the Rocket engine, you play the 1 Striker, and then you play 2 Tracer. I don't know if they play. I think maybe they might play 3 in Pure. I'm not sure. You play the 1 Rocket Recharger, then the Silver Rocket, the 2 Apsa Router, and then the 3 Quick Launch, and then the 1 Boot Sector Launch. So let's talk about these cards and what they do for the deck. These are the after the Dragon Maids, they're the second best like cards in the deck, I would say. Specifically, like honestly, just most of these cards. Like having all these cards is just so necessary for the deck. But like specifically to open up, Quick Launch is a busted card to open up. It's so busted. It allows you to play through like almost any hand trap. Because at the end of your combo, use Quick Launch, summon Tracer, make your Verte, make your Boral Savage. It's just so insane. This card has synergy with the Dragon Maids, because, you know, like I said, if you fusion summon a Dragon Maid Xiao using this as material, not only do you have easy access to Xiao because of this card, but you also plus off this card because it'll search you for your Tracer, which is just awesome because later on in the combo, or maybe you have it already, you probably have like Boot Sector, access to Boot Sector, so that Rocket Tracer is going to be, be really, like, it's going to be live pretty much, because you're going to be able to summon it with Boot Sector Launch. And this card's an awesome extender because it does not activate. I love cards that don't activate, that just have like a condition to summon. So like if you control a rocket monster, you just summon it, and that's the only condition, is that you control a rocket monster. So it's super nice. It does not activate. It cannot be negated unless like they strike it on summon or something like that. It's also cool because even though it's pretty weak at 1200, you wouldn't believe like how relevant that is against like some like decks where like you can just attack over something because this is 1200. It doesn't come up, but it's just an awesome extender because it also allows you to chain block. So like when you summon this and another rocket, you can link off Romulus Chainlink 1, Apsarautor Chainlink 2. They could ash this, sure, but like it's not the best thing to ash, but the most important thing is that you're able to chain block. There's a lot of cards in this deck that allow you to chain block, so they allow you to get really far in your combo before your opponent successfully hand traps you, like Gamma or anything, or not really Valor, because Valor can just be pitched anytime, but like stuff like Ogre, Ash, Gamma, these cards, like, which need to they need to connect to a specific card to be able to activate, if that makes sense. I play Silver Rocket just because it's 1900. I legitimately never use its effect to look at my opponent's extra deck because during the end phase, I don't control like Abomination. I don't play that card, so that never comes up. Recharger actually has really good interactions, so like going second, or like even as a recovery play, if you have access to this card, it's really good because it can bring back Dragoon, which is like super busted. Like that, this card can bring Dragoon back. It could also bring back like Red Eye's Darkness Metal, which is really nice. And Striker Dragon is like low key. No, actually not low key. It's high key. Super busted. Any level 4 dragon becomes Striker Dragon, and that instantly gives you access to Boot Sector Launch. And that means if you have any rocket in your hand, this becomes just a free extender. It's just super, super good. Oh my god, like, and it's so good that people just don't want to hand trap this card because like you're searching for boost sector launch, but it's not like in this deck specifically, it's not a guarantee that you can activate this card. Like the majority of the time, you will activate this card. But I'm saying like in Dragon Link, they have specific plays that they have to follow to have their end board. So you searching this in regular Dragon Link is actually very crucial. I would say if you don't open up quick launch, assuming you don't open up quick launch, but I would say this is a crucial extender in Dragon Link. It is in this version of the deck, but it's just nice that you can get this card for free, pretty much. We play Saryuja, always keep that in mind because we can always shuffle stuff back. So even if we like, say draw this with Saryuja, we could just shuffle this back if we don't need access to it, which is nice. Just a free card to shuffle back with Saryuja. I'm trying to just make sure that I don't miss anything. So Tracer, as everybody knows, Tracer is just an awesome card because it can like pop any face-up card you control, summon another rocket from the deck, and then it gives you access to Verte, which gets you to Dragoon, or it gives you access to Boral Savage Dragon, which is nice. Also, it's just a good follow-up play because most of the time what we'll do is we'll summon a Dragoon, and then maybe like on our next turn, we can summon Savage as a nice follow-up. So it's just nice to have this. Plus, like, Chamber is a level 4, which is really nice. Sometimes, like, if I don't want to be locked into Darks, I'll just use Chamber. If this, say I have no more targets in the deck for Tracer, then Chamber becomes like the other material that I could use for Boral Savage, which is really nice. Chamber being a level 4, that's just like really good synergy, you know, other than having like White Dragon and Black Dragon. Hope I didn't miss anything. So that's it for the rocket stuff. So we covered the rocket stuff, the Dragonmaid stuff. Next, here's our other starters. There are some like other starters in the deck, I guess, but these are the more like notable ones that can do stuff on their own. Like whereas like some of the other cards in our deck, they need other, like some of the other extenders need other cards to like do stuff, but these cards can do stuff on their own. Like Black Metal is actually not the card that in this version, obviously, because it's not like regular Dragon Link. This isn't actually a card that you want to start with because it's more or less like your subpar starter because you'd rather start with Parlor or Chamber or Safer before you start with Black Metal. But Black Metal is a better starter than Kitchen because, again, Kitchen needs stuff to get started, whereas Black Metal, you could just link it away, get Striker Dragon searches Boot Sector, this searches Darkness Metal, so it gets you, this card alone gets you advantage, whereas like Kitchen, it does get you advantage, but you need other cards to like be able to capitalize. So this card is awesome because we summon it off LP sometimes. If we open up like, if we can't do the LP Pisty play, but we can summon something out from, but we can get to like Triple Burst and LP, then I would summon this and then use this to summon the Pisty and then search for Darkness Metal, and that way I can get to my Saryuja. And yeah, so that's why we play. We basically play because it's a very decent starter, and it's and it makes our not so optimal plays a bit better because we have the access to this card. Plus, it gives us more cards to search. Well, it gives us more cards to shuffle back with, not shuffle back, but place back with Saryuja because we're able to search just the vanilla Red Eyes with this card after we search Darkness Metal, so that way we have another card to put back with Saryuja, which is it's a very big difference. Then we have Safer. Safer, you know, it's one of the best starters in the deck because you could send dragons from your hand as well as the field, so that way you can just keep this for Striker Dragon material, and then like, you know, use cards in your hand to search for like Black Dragon or White Dragon instead of using up this body, which is, it makes a huge difference. So I love that you can send dragons from your hand as well as the field. Also, searching for Levianeer is just, it's amazing. I've had times where I searched for Chamber or Parlor, which is really nice. Parlor specifically, you have to have a 3, but like this being a 4, you could still search for Chamber. Also, sometimes I would like use Ravine, pitch this, and then I would send Levianeer, and then I would banish this card and then add Levianeer to my hand, so that way I can shuffle something back from my opponent's hand to their deck, which is super nice. So I love this card. This is such an amazing card to be in any dragon deck, just because it searches you for any dragon in the game, but it searches you for the best starters and the best extenders in the game as well. So that is it. Plus, level 4 light, you could still use it to go into Savage Dragon. It's really good. Being a light, you can use it to pop cards with Levianeer too. So let's go over this big stack. These are all our extenders. So we have White Dragon, Black Dragon, and then we have the Noctovision. So previously I played one. This is what I added for the kitchen that I took out. So I added another Noctovision. Then we have Brotar, we have Darkness Metal, of course. We have the Tempest, we have Galactic Spiral, and then we have Levianeer. So these are our other extenders that we play in the deck. Not counting the spells, we have a ton of other spells that I'm going to show you guys in a second. So let's break it down. These two cards are phenomenal. They are, as everybody knows, Black Dragon, White Dragon. They replace each other. If you search them with Chaos Space, that's actually like some of the most like busted interactions that you will have with this, making your plays because of that card. Because these cards replace themselves, and now they get you a free draw in addition to replacing themselves, which is awesome. So like, what level 4, first of all, light and dark. Oh my God, dragons, LP Pisty plays. It just phenomenal, so amazing. Like I can't say anything else about these cards. These cards are just very necessary in any dragon deck. Chaos Space is just, it's like such a busted card that it's too good not to play, and it just makes these cards so much better. Making LP Pisty, Hieratic Seal, just like Link Climbing. Link climbing is it's very possible with this, Saryuja and all that. Noctovision is another card. Oh, also before I move on, chain blocking. It's another card that you can use to chain block, because say for example you do, you send Safer to search the Black Dragon, then you banish Safer, summon Black Dragon, go into Striker Dragon, and then depending on what you need more, whether it's the body or boot sector launch, you would. Most of the time you are chain blocking just so you could successfully get boot sector launch, but it's nice that you have the option. So like this would get sent to the graveyard, and then you'd go Striker Dragon Chainlink 1, Black Dragon Chainlink 2 to search White Dragon, and then boot sector launch would be added to your hand as well, and they're not able to ogre you pretty much, or ash the Striker Dragon, which is nice. So chain blocking, that's another big thing. It's another very important reason why you play these cards. Noctovision, again, Noctovision is actually like one of the best extenders in the game, and it's one of the best extenders to open up, because when you go into Striker Dragon, so where's Striker Dragon? Right here. So like say you go into, you summon Black Dragon, right? Then you link it away, you go into Striker Dragon. And now you could go Striker Dragon Chainlink 1 and then Noctovision Chainlink 2. And like Noctovision can be like ashed, it can be ogred, you know what I mean? It's in your hand. They could negate and destroy it with like one of their negates, like Dragoon, sure, but like everybody knows that's probably not going to be the smartest play. But the thing is, this card's a 2-for-1 special, and the reason that I say this is because first it chain blocks and it's a free extender, right? So Chainlink 1, Chainlink 2, you summon this, and then this resolves, and then when you link it off with Striker Dragon, it chain blocks again. So it chain blocks twice. So your opponent's like, okay, I didn't get to, Gamma or Ogre the Striker Dragon, but I'm definitely going to like Gamma or Ogre the Romulus. But the thing is, with this card, once it's linked off, you draw a card. So you could have Romulus, Chainlink 1, and then Noctovision Grave, Effect in Grave as Chainlink 2 to draw a card, then Romulus resolve. So again, you dodged Gamma and you dodged Ash like twice, pretty much. So that's why it's really good. Also, it being a level 5 or higher is just another card that you could use as fusion material for Shao, which is fantastic. So yeah, we're gonna go over the weaker extenders. Actually, you know what? Let's go over Darkness Metal first, because Darkness Metal is by no means a weak extender. It's a free card that we get access to with LP or Black Metal Dragon. It's an awesome extender. It's again, it being a high level, it's Shao food. For it's awesome. It has it plays so many roles in this deck. Being an extender, being a fusion material, being Saryuja material, it's just so good. And then these okay, so these are definitely the weaker extenders, right? Because this is a great extender, and so let's talk about the strengths, the levels. Again, actually, these are some of the best. These cards are better as fusion material than these cards. And the reason I say this is because when you fusion summon using these cards, you could pitch them from the hand as fusion material, going second, for example. And then later on in the turn, they're going to summon themselves back. You know what I mean? You could banish 2 dragons for this, and then if you control 2 light or dark dragons, you can summon this back. So in that regard, trust me, they're good extenders. They're just the weakest. They're not the extenders that I would want to open up with because they require setup. This requires 2 dragons in your hand or graveyard to banish so you could summon this. And it's not a hefty cost later on, but it's a hefty cost in the beginning. So that's why it's not great to open this card up, because you're still trying to get your combos going. You don't have anything in the graveyard, so this isn't live yet. Same thing with this. You need to have 2 light and dark dragons, and that isn't difficult, but the thing is, it's not a card that replaces itself. It's a card that these 2 cards only replace themselves if you use them as fusion material for Shao. So if you use them as fusion material for Shao, then yes, they do serve 2 purposes, which is nice. But other than that, they don't really net you anything. So that's why I say they definitely help you push, but they don't help you push as much as these cards right here. These cards are phenomenal. These cards help you push. These cards, they help you push, just not as much. They're not as aggressive, I guess. These cards are really aggressive in terms of like being good extenders. This card also serves another purpose, and that is Dingirsu, but I'll get that, I'll go over Dingirsu later on, but that's the other purpose it serves. It's a level 8 that makes any other monsters level 8, so you're able to go into Dingirsu. So that's another purpose that it serves. And then these 2 cards I would put in the same boat, because this card it's not an extender. Because this card needs something to be destroyed to be able to summon itself. So it's an extender in one scenario, actually 2 scenarios. And it's an extender when you get ogred. This triggers. If you get ogred, your monster gets destroyed. You could summon this from the grave or hand, and then you could target itself, pitch something, search. And then it's also an extender when you get gamma. So when your opponent uses gamma, this becomes an extender. But it's a very, very, very weak extender. It takes a specific interactions for it to act as a really good extender. Obviously, later on in the duel, it becomes a better extender, because if your monster gets destroyed by battle, you're able to summon this back. In that scenario, it becomes a better extender. But as you opening with this card is terrible, because you're basically not relying. Oh my god, my cat's going crazy. You're basically relying on your opponent, like ogering or using gamma or something like that to trigger this card. So that's why. But as part of your combo, it can be insane, because if you open a busted and you could say summon this card with Saryuja or summon this card with LP going first, then yeah, you could get more pluses, and you could search for Levianeer. The main reason you play this card, though, is not for your turn 0 play. It's for your opponent during your opponent's turn, summoning this off Hieratic Seal. When you summon this off Hieratic Seal, you get the option to search for Levianeer, or you can search for Chamber, or you can search for Black Dragon, or you can search for pretty much any other dark, any dark monster. And then if you target another dragon with a different attribute, you can search that attribute. But I want to say 99% of the time, you're searching for Levianeer, because this card, I love to open this card up. Not always, obviously, because if your hand, it's kind of like, Nurse, right? Because what did I say about Nurse? I said that Nurse would make a good hand really good because Nurse is just an awesome extender and normal summon if you already have a really good hand where you're able to set up without Nurse. Levianeer is the same way where like if you have a busted hand and you draw Levianeer, your hand becomes even more busted because not only do you have another body, but you're gonna rip a card, and now you have a high level monster for your Shao, which is like fantastic that you have this card serve those two big purposes, being able to summon Shao and being able to rip a card. That is just amazing. And to have this card in your graveyard, so during your turn, if you get access to Safer, or if you do already have access to Safer, you can banish Safer and get this card back to your hand to use the popping effect to be able to clear opponent's board. This card is fantastic. I would love to play this card at least 2 copies, but it's never it never like, I don't want to say it doesn't come up, but it's not necessary is what I'm trying to say, because you have access to this card in multiple ways, and plus you can recycle this card with Safer. So that's why you only play the 1 copy. Okay, so that's it for the other extender monsters. Now we're gonna go over the extender spells. So for the extender spells, we have Wordlexy Guard Dragon, Monster Reborn, and then we have the Triple Dragon Shrine, and we have Chaos Space, and then we have Foolish Burial. So let's talk about it, right? I've already discussed these cards in my deck profile, but let's go over them briefly. These cards are broken because they search you for Black Dragon and White Dragon specifically. You can search Levianeer, but most of the time you're going to search White Dragon or Black Dragon. And the amazing effect also is to be able to banish this card to shuffle back either extra deck monsters or shuffle back White Dragon or Black Dragon, so you're able to search for them. So here's a neat interaction that I don't think I've ever spoken about. But say you open a chaos space with either Black Dragon or White Dragon. Where's White Dragon? With what or White? So you either open up Chaos Space with this or White Dragon. You can pitch this, okay, using this effect, right? Pitch this for cost, and then you're gonna search the White Dragon, and then you're gonna banish Black Dragon and summon White Dragon, and then this is live now. So where you could banish this, put this back to the bottom of the deck, draw a card, and then link this off, and then search this card, and now this card's live because you have this in the grave, banish this, summon this. So drawing like any combination of like this or this is actually pretty good because like it's just super free. You're going to get this card back. Even if you pitched it and banished it, you're going to get it back and it's going to summon itself. So it's really nice, and vice versa, obviously. So this card is just like fantastic. Chaos Space is just awesome for any Chaos deck. And then, Wordlexy Guard Dragon, I've spoken about this. I've praised this card for being an amazing card to draw or open up with Parlor, or even Safer, or Dragon Shrine, or Foolish Burial too. It's insane. Just super good card. Dragon Shrine is really good because Dragon Shrine it serves multiple purposes. It can get you Apsarautor, that gets you Rocket Tracer to your hand. It can dump one of your other extenders like Galactic Spiral or Tempest. It can send, if you open this up with Nurse, you could send a Dragonmaid monster, normal summon Nurse, revive that Dragonmaid monster that you sent. It just has so many good uses in this deck. And then Monster Reborn is Monster Reborn. You're reviving anything. Foolish Burial is sending anything. Just amazing extenders. So it's a lot of extenders that you play in the deck. So there is a high chance that you're going to draw one of these good extenders / starters along with your other starters and extenders as well. So let's go over the Romulus engine. So here's another engine I wanted to talk about. Romulus engine. This card is so bad to draw, but you can still go into Striker Dragon with this card. And if you open this card and Wordlexy Guard Dragon, you're still gonna combo off because you're gonna be able to normal summon this, Striker Dragon, revive this with Wordlexy Guard Dragon, go into Romulus. You can search your Ravine at that point, and then you could still like move along with your plays. But this is a terrible card to draw. But it's an amazing card, obviously, to use with Divine Lance because it's special summon itself, and then it's another like free body that you could use for LP and Pisty. I love Ravine because if you open up like one of these two cards, you just search Ravine. So you have something to search with Romulus to get you that free advantage, pretty much. And then this can just, it's another Foolish Burial, it's another Dragon Shrine. It could also potentially like just unbrick your hand. Like if you open this, if you search this and then you have Router, you can just like activate this, pitch the Router, pitch Tempest, pitch Galactic Spiral, and you're pretty much getting free pitch fodder because those cards are all going to replace themselves. So I love just searching for Ravine if I opened one of these two cards up. And then Romulus makes it all happen. The Link 2s, I mean, the pointers are amazing. It being a dragon is just like, plus it being wind, it actually serves another purpose with Access Code Talker. Because it is a wind, we can banish it for Access Code Talker. I will say this card is actually not as busted in this version of the deck as it is in Dragon Link. Because in Dragon Link, if you search this, if you only have these two cards, you have like almost full combo because you're going to go into Link Cross and then you're going to be able to use this as synchro material. But in this deck, it's actually not as busted because if you have nothing else and you only have these two cards, you only have two options. You can either go Verte Dragoon or you can go Heretic. If you absolutely have nothing else and you're just relying on these cards, all you have is Dragoon or Heretic Seal. Because if you can't go LP and then you have nothing to summon because they're not pointing to two zones. So that's why it's not as busted in this deck. It's still busted. I'm just saying that it can't do as much as it can in like regular Dragon Link. So that's it for the Romulus or Dragoonity engine. Let's go over the Dragoon engine. So we went over the Dragoonity engine, but here's the Dragoon engine. Dragoon. So we're playing 60 cards, right? Oh, keep that in mind. 60 cards. It's less. So with 60 cards, you're expecting to draw a brick because you play so many, but you're not expecting to draw the bricks often. This is the worst of these to draw, but it's not even the worst in all scenarios. It's the worst. It's the worst. Say if you have a terrible hand and you draw this, then you can at least activate this and then summon Dragoon. Okay, so it's not the worst because you're still gonna summon Dragoon. Against Sky Striker, if you summon this against Sky Striker, if you open this up and summon this against Sky Striker, they have to waste so many resources to get rid of this. Like they have to bait out its negate, and then they have to summon Ningirsu or like beat over it with Access Code Talker or Boral Sword or something like that. They cannot out this card because all their cards destroy or target. Like Jamming Wave destroys, Afterburner, it targets. Widow Anchor targets. So like this card is just insane for Striker. Striker obviously it's not the most relevant deck right now, but it's just something to put out there. But the main reason we play this is because it is absolutely free. It is so free because at the end of your combo, after you make Xiao and Heretic, which is already two very, very strong cards. Xiao and Heretic are my favorite two cards in the extra deck because they both generate advantage as well as prevent your opponent from playing. Dragoon is just a very oppressive card. It doesn't gain you advantage, but it kind of gains you an advantage in the sense where it's popping your opponent's card for free, baiting out negates for free pretty much, because even if they negate and destroy this card, they can't destroy it, they can only negate it. So it can still pop more cards, it can still bait out like negates, it can still negate and gain the attack. It's just a very oppressive card. I've had people scoop because they saw me play this card because they thought like, oh, okay, you know what? I can get over a Heretic, I can get over a Xiao, that's all good. I can even get over a Boral Savage because it doesn't destroy. It negates, but it doesn't destroy. But the second they see me summon this card, it just turns the tables around. This card makes a tremendous difference between summoning this and summoning Boral Savage. A huge difference. such an impressive card. It's not a fair card, but it's super busted, especially in like combo Dragonmaid. It's free. Let's go over our last main deck cards, which is the more reactive cards. So 2 tactics, the 1 called by, and then the 3 imperm. So these don't seem too like important, too relevant. I want to say so these cards are, I would call them win more cards, okay, in a sense, because I would call this a win more card. Because you're playing a 60. First of all, I only have 2 copies, by the way. If I had a 3rd copy, I would probably play 3. But since I'm playing like these 3, I would put them in the same category because you're punishing your opponent for using a hand trap, pretty much. They punish in different ways, but they both punish for the same reason. Your opponent hand traps you. These are going to be able to react to that specific interaction of your opponent using a hand trap on you. This card I love because if I have full combo even after they hand trap me, then I will not be greedy and draw 2. I will simply look at their hand and make like shuffle another threat back into the deck. So like say I have full combo even if they hand trap me once, but the thing is I might not have full combo if they hand trap me again. So as long as I have the resources in my hand, I'm not going to draw more. I'm only going to use the draw effect if I have no more extenders and like no starters or anything like that. But if I can look at my opponent's hand and put a card back, whether it be their starters or another hand trap, and gaining that advantage, that being able to look at their hand and plan what am I going to negate on their turn is just it's not fair. That's the and the other reason I would play 3 copies of this card is because it serves another purpose if you lose the die roll. If you lose the die roll, chances are your opponent's going to have a board with monster negates, and then this card is just going to be live. So you're going to be able to draw 2, you're going to be able to mind control something, you're going to be able to bait a negate out. So it does serve another purpose, whereas this card, it serves another purpose in Dragon Link, because if you go second against Dragon Link and they use Hieratic Seal, you could chain this to banish the seal. They could negate it, obviously. If they don't negate it, it's actually a big win for you, because negating seal is like, it hits 2 things. It hits the bounce, and then it hits them tutoring anything out from the deck. So this is a really good card. But I would say this probably is a more impactful card. This definitely has a big impact. It just has a big impact in fewer scenarios than this card. Plus, this is a better card, I would say, probably going second. And then we play Imperm because we want to have something to be able to stop our opponent. Yes, it's only 3 cards in a 60-card deck, I understand, but we play it because I do draw this card. It's a great card to draw as a 6 card going second also. It's a great card to set if you draw it off Saryuja and then you have like all these other negates, plus you have an Imperm, that's just like GG, because it could also stop floodgates. It's a really good card. That's why I chose this as my only hand trap in the deck. So that is it for the main deck, guys. So going over the other cards that we play in the extra deck, I'm gonna go over these cards right here. These cards are super necessary because you play Saryuja and then, like, you know, draw 4, put 3 back, and then having your Pisty still be live after you verse off Saryuja is really good. Triple Burst is really good because it's good in fewer scenarios. Honestly, most of the time when I play, this card becomes one of the few cards left in my extra deck because I don't not brick, but I always usually open up the full combo with Pisty LP and like Romulus summon from the deck. But in case I don't have this combo where I can summon them both at the same time and then resolve Pisty, this becomes very crucial because you want to have something to point down. And be able to summon something from the deck. You could also play the Crossroads Dragon because it's a Link 2, so it takes less materials. but this has been working out good. It's also nice because I can, if I summon Access Code Talker, I can just like target this to gain 3k. The piercing, the negating during the damage step does not come up. It very rarely comes up. It's nice to have. It just doesn't come up. And then Saryuja is obviously, because we're not playing Link Cross, because we're not playing Needle Fiber, this is our Link Cross, or Needle Fiber, I guess, because it draws us the cards that we need, and then it also unbricks our hand. So like, this is one advantage of like, if we draw this and we have full combo, because we play Saryuja, we could shuffle this back. So that's another big win, I would say, to playing Saryuja. Hieratic Seal, again, as I mentioned before, one of the best cards in the extra deck. It's an interruption and it's an extender, a follow-up, I mean. And then this is also a good follow-up, or it's a good starter, because like, say you're out of like, you have no more, you don't have a hand. Your opponent has like Nibiru'd you, and if you have quick launch and you could, you're going to summon Tracer, you're going to end with this because you don't have a hand to pitch for Dragoon. So that's when this card becomes a better card to end with. It's after you get Nibiru'd. And it's also a good follow-up because now you have another boss monster that you can summon past turn 0. And then lastly, guys, to end the video, I feel like my videos keep getting longer, but this is probably the most important video for this deck. And that is these 2 flex spots. This is definitely more important because after your opponent passes back to you, say they have like somewhat of a board, now you're able to pick apart their board and you're able to get over their Dragoon because he's going to get really beefy, and then after you attack, then you could start popping stuff, and this can't even get negated by Dragoon because they can't respond, which is fantastic. So actually you could pop stuff and then attack because Dragoon can't respond to this. This is also another out to Dragoon that I wanted to play specifically because of Dragoon, but I found that I was either preventing my opponent from summoning Dragoon, or it just rarely comes up. And the only way you could summon this is Galactic Spiral. Granted, we have 3 Dragon Shrine, Foolish Burial, Dragon Ravine. We can open that card up. We can draw it off Saryuja. So there are like kind of consistent ways to get this card, but it's really not likely. I would probably swap this out for like something else that could be useful. But for now, I don't need anything else, so I'm just going to keep it in. Guys, thank you so much if you watched this whole video. It's another long video, man. I have no idea how to make these videos shorter, honestly. I want to keep these videos very informative, and this was definitely the most important video that has to do with Dragonmaid, combo Dragonmaid, because it was the report to let you guys know that I have been seeing so much success on a local level with this deck, playing against competitive players, playing against meta decks. This deck has gone, like in the past 3 weeks, it's gone like 12-0, I want to say, 12-0. So it's just been really good. If you guys are interested, definitely test this deck out. It's very rewarding, and if you love Dragonmaids and you understand the interactions that Dragonmaids have, this deck becomes even better. Because past turn 0, you being able to like react to your opponent's battle phase with like Chamber, and Chamber could summon back Shao, which is busted, and it just gains so much advantage like out of nowhere. Guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys have a great day. Take it easy. Take care. See you guys in the next video.